I want to update those of you who support Astoria Ministries, kind of where Rochelle and I are and the direction that we're going. First of all, I just want to thank you for your support. This is my full time work. I write, I teach. Tuesday mornings, we have a Bible study. Been speaking at different places on Sundays. As many of you know, ran for Congress. That was kind of a surprise to a lot of people. I retired from pastoring January of this year. I was approached to run for Congress and said yes. And I've been very careful to keep my run for Congress separate from Astoria. So what I would do is I would work, study, write, work on books, teach, and then at night would go with my wife and campaign. But Astoria, I've not been able to devote as much time as I typically would like to now that the campaign's over and I lost to a 28-year incumbent. I'm back at Astoria, looking forward to it. Been working on a couple of trips that we hope we can take. One to Shiloh, Tennessee, to the Battle of Shiloh. We're taking a look at maybe going to a couple of places in New Mexico and Kansas. We have a trip secured to Israel next April. Hope you can go. We'll give you more information about that coming up soon. But right now, I just thought I would give you some observations that I've had on the campaign trail. And this has nothing to do with running for a particular office because I'm not anymore, but I do have some observations. And I think these observations are more about the character and morality of our nation right now. And won't make this video long, but I think you'll find it very interesting. Um, I love Oklahoma. I love the people of Oklahoma. And I knew it'd be tough to beat an incumbent who's been serving for 28 years in Washington, D.C. He spent $1.2 million on this campaign. And of course, we didn't have that kind of money. Uh, Miraculously, we raised about $250,000, but every single contribution was from individuals. We had no political action committee money. We had no big money from big pharma, big banking, big tech, as our opponent did. And so we couldn't run television commercials. They are very expensive. But we thought we might be able to pull it out without television. We had a couple of consultants who are professionals, one from Washington State and one from Washington, D.C., who said, you can't, that doesn't happen. No federal race or statewide race can be won without doing television. Well, we thought we could prove them wrong, and they were right. We were wrong. Politics is all about name recognition and money. And I'll give you an example of this. I received 22,000 votes in District 3, United States Congress, most votes that have ever been obtained by an opponent of Frank Lucas, the incumbent. He received right at 43,000 votes, so he almost doubled me. I thought that the percentage could be anywhere between 60 to 40%. Either he would win or I would win. If I won, it would be a lot closer than 60-40. So I was a little surprised that I got 31%. But there was another man in the race. His name was Stephen Butler. And this is what I learned. After he got 8%. He got 6,700 votes, something like that. And I was shocked because I'd never met Stephen Butler. So I called him, and he answered the phone. Nice guy, lives in Oklahoma City, and said, "Wait, man, good to talk to you. I was rooting for you." I'm like, "What?" He says, "Oh no, yeah, I didn't know who you were when I filed and found out who you were. Been following you, and man, you ran a great campaign." I said, "Well, Stephen, I mean, good night. You got 8% of the vote. And I was just calling to figure out how you did that. I got 31%, but we put a lot of effort into it." And he just laughed. And he said, "Well, I didn't campaign." And I said, "Well, I know I didn't see you on the trail, at all. And in fact, I tried to do some research for you and I couldn't even find your picture. He said, no. He said, there's not a picture on the internet of me. He said, I didn't do any campaigning, didn't spend any money. I said, whoa, 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 stop. You didn't spend any money? He said, no. He said, I had a Facebook page, Stephen B. in 2023, and I looked it up while we were talking, and he had 20 followers. And I said, so you didn't go anywhere to campaign for a congressional race? He said, oh, one place. I went to Enid one time to speak to a group, and they were all voting for you, and that's the only place I went. I said, well, why did you file? He said, well, I just didn't want a 28-year incumbent to run alone, unopposed. And I didn't know you were filing. I didn't know who you were. In fact, after I filed, a reporter stopped me and talked to me for about 20 minutes. And then the next day, it was all about Frank Lucas this, Frank Lucas that. And I said, Stephen, yeah, so you didn't go anywhere. You didn't spend any money. He said, well, maybe $100 round trip in gas. I said, you didn't have a website. You didn't put your picture out. I said, did you say anything about Frank Lucas? He said, no, no, I didn't say anything to anybody about Frank Lucas. I said, well, in the paper the day after the election, Frank Lucas said he did so poorly because his opponents were so hostile. And it was plural opponents. And Stephen said, no, I didn't say anything. I said, well, I didn't think you did. And I didn't think I was hostile, but obviously Frank was disappointed. He got 60%, and he said it's because his opponents were hostile, and you didn't even do anything. He said, no, no. He said, in fact, I went down to vote on the day of the election and realized I don't even live in the district, so I couldn't even vote for myself. I said, are you kidding me? No. So again, a great guy. He's probably in his 60s. His wife died last year, and he figured he could do whatever he wanted because he was by himself. So he's a painter. He said, "I'm blue collar Wade. I just don't like professional politicians." And he got almost 7,000 votes. Now, if you added those votes to my total, it would have been 60-40. So why did Stephen Butler get that many votes? Nobody knew who he was. I'll tell you why. A lot of people didn't know who I was either. And so what you've got people who are going to vote against the incumbent, and they're going to go in. They don't know who Stephen Butler is. They don't know who Wade Burleson is, and they flip a coin. They hadn't seen me on television. They don't know my name. They don't know Stephen's name. They flip a coin. So we split those votes that are anti-incumbent. Mm-hmm. At least about 12,000 of them. By the way, the last time Frank ran against just one person, 2016, it was a gal from our church. I know who she was. She got about 12,000 votes, which was 20%. So Frank got 80%. She got 12,000 votes. Well, you add 16,000 very highly dedicated people who voted for me, knew who I was, to that 12,000 votes that everybody's going to vote who doesn't like the incumbent. You got 28,000 votes, and Frank has 43. You just have to flip about 7,500 votes and you win the election. And that can be flipped through television. But here's the thing. How do people in a Republican primary go into a voting booth and don't even know anything about the people they're voting for? How can 12,000 people not know who they're going to vote for? You see, the most shocking thing to me is that in Oklahoma, a great conservative state of people who love their country, most of them love the Lord, you got 12,000 in a Republican primary who aren't even looking at the issues. I told my wife, I've had a great time. Of all the disappointing things, it's that we are now living in a country where you have to have a lot of money, a lot of television, say a lot of fluff, get your name out there, and you'll get elected to be a politician. Here I am, busting my rear end writing, reading, understanding the issues, knowing everything about every single issue. I can't get my opponent to debate. He won't show up. He won't even show up at meetings. He spends $1.2 million on his campaign, and he hires people to go sit at a desk when I'm out there talking to people at these different events. You see, here's the deal. The professional politicians understand what it takes to win: money and television. And that's the most disappointing thing to me. I love our country. I know our history. I understand the Constitution. I know the issues that we face. And man, it's hard to win a congressional race without money. So, what I'm going to do is focus in on kingdom work. I'm going to write, I'm going to record, I'm going to do what I've been doing. I'm going to minister to the community, speak at different places, work with ethnic groups, with Johannes and others, Forgotten Ministries, Jeremiah and I doing some things that I think will be just amazing. We'll be talking about that here in a couple of weeks. Dr. Darnell, we want to do some Hispanic work here. So, going to refocus in, take some tours around the United States, talk about our country. And if you want on our mailing list here at Astoria, be sure and sign up at AstoriaMinistries.com, and we'll send out updates. We'll probably start doing a newsletter, things like that, to keep you more informed. It's been a great 6 months since I left retirement at Emmanuel, and the last 6 months of this year, I'm hard at it through Astoria Ministries. Thank you for being great support, and be looking for articles at AstoriaMinistries.com as I continue to write. We've got books that we're working on, and then, of course, I'll be doing podcasts like this. So, God bless you. We'll get more professional as time goes on, but I just appreciate your love, support, and understanding. Oh, by the way, that reminded me. Um, we tried to transfer archives of sermon material for 30 years from Emmanuel, and there were some technical glitches on the end of the staff at Emmanuel, so we've lost recordings. It's very disappointing. I'm going to have to go back and rework an archive. So be patient with us, but we'll get our messages up from the past as soon as possible. Thank you.